Today, we're going to talk with one of my favorite holistic practitioners who I actually see regularly about non surgical, non pharmaceutical pathways to wellness. One of my favorite topics. Hi, it's Sheryl Sitz, welcoming you to another episode of Exploring Possibilities. Since 2013, we have been podcasting about ways to transform life from the inside out in holistic and spiritual ways. Show creator, producer Mario Rosales and I are so passionate about this, and we love that you continue to spend time with us. We hope that you're growing and enjoying what we bring you. And remember to show us a little love at journeyofpossibilities.com/support so we can keep bringing these to you free of charge. Our entire library, almost 300 conscious conversations, can be found on journeyofpossibilities.com. We have talked with people from all over the world. And the nice thing about it is it's timeless wisdom. So it's always right on time. Whatever you want to learn about, dig in there. And today joining us is going to be Dr. Jeremy de los Santos. Dr. Jeremy de los Santos has owned and operated Simple Life Chiropractic Wellness Center about 5 years now, operating just a few miles down the road from my house. I was fortunate enough to find his practice a few months back, and it is changing my life. So I knew he would be a great guest to have on the show. He is a native Texan, dedicated to his beautiful wife, Sarah, and their two sons, Leo and Arlo. So it's no surprise he specializes in pediatrics and family care. He's certified in peripheral neuropathy, chronic and intractable pain by the American College of Physical Medicine. And you'll see for yourself during our chat today his passion for helping and educating our community to heal, function, and perform without drugs or surgery. You can find him online at simplelifechiro.com. He joins us now. Hi, Dr. Jeremy.
Well, good morning, Miss Sheryl. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on. And it's kind of interesting that we meet in this way. I'm used to seeing you face to face, so I'm glad to bring you to our
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, I'm
So,
excited.
I think we'd really like to know a little bit more, kind of on a personal level, what inspired you into not only practicing natural wellness without pharmaceuticals, without surgery, but to be a facilitator of it for others?
Yeah, great question. There's a bunch of different things. There's not, for me, it was a good growing up experience, not really having to have a major health event happen. Of course, there were things that happened and whatnot, but I didn't have this humongous thing where chiropractic saved my life, which, there's a lot of docs that get into it that way, which is cool. And it's very powerful because we have a lot of those testimonials, like you said yourself. It's, really changing folks' lives for the better. For me, growing up, I always just felt like exactly what you said. Our bodies were created to function the way they were designed. I don't know if that's just divine intervention or what, but just growing up, I always thought it's like, okay, if I'm hurting here, why would I take something here? And then how does it know to get there? And there was a disconnect for me. And I always thought, man, above, down, inside out. That's how we were designed, just like you said, from the inside out. The way chiropractic says it, above, down, inside out, ADIO. Everything starts in the brain. All the power and information that runs our body starts in our brain, down the spinal cord, and then out those nerves. Above, down, inside out. No matter what organ, cell, or tissue, whether it's your thyroid, whether it's your gut health, whether it's the muscles or the joints, your eyeballs, you're able to hear and see us right now. It's all mitigated and controlled through the brain. And of course, that's a whole complex set of things down the road. But for me, it just made sense. It's like, why not just work with that? And that way that just found me was through chiropractic care. A lot of folks think, oh, he's a chiropractor, neck pain, back pain, headaches. Absolutely do great with that. But man, that's just scratching the surface on stuff. There's a
Yes, it is.
there's a chiropractic joke that if you rob a bank and only steal the pins, that's like using chiropractic care for pain management.
Mm.
So much more to it. So much more to it. And like you said, I specialize in family and pediatric wellness. And yeah, I got two babies that were adjusted within minutes of them being born. I think I still set the record at the birthing center. I adjusted our oldest son while the placenta was still attached. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it was a long 36-hour process. And so I knew as soon as he was okay and mom was okay, I had to start working on him as soon as I could. And for babies, we can have a whole nother discussion about that later, but it's so different and so cool to see them respond. Um,
Yes, and what a great age to start at. So I'm from the generation where chiropractic was not really, especially growing up here in Texas, I
Hmm.
was moved from California very young, and chiropractic was not really considered a medicine. It wasn't something that you really went to. So I've been through car accidents and all kinds of, in my party years, tore my body up. And never, if I was in an accident, the thing to do was to go get an x-ray and then you're fine and go on your way. And of
Yeah.
course, all of that has come back to me now in my 50s. I'm really feeling the absence of natural wellness, which leads me into my next question for you. You kind of touched on it, but our culture has become one that reacts to pain. And so I'm sure you must get frustrated that people come to you like I did when they start experiencing pain, like maybe I need to deal with this. And pain, by the time we feel pain, it's really late in the game. And I've learned a lot about that through coming with you to see you. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about why anyone would find benefit in chiropractic care long before they have any pain. Why should I
Yeah,
come to you if I'm not hurting, basically?
that's an awesome question. There's several ways to answer that too. One, if you're coming in with pain, the doors are open to you. That's what I heard an old doc say. Pain's the ticket to the show. It will get people in the door. Pain or pleasure, right, are two biggest drivers. And so I'm going to
Right.
answer the pain side first, and I'll go into the pleasure side after that. But and one of the things that we do, and you've experienced this, and I think this is one of the reasons why you wanted me to come on, is we focus a lot on the education aspect and the education components, not just of chiropractic care, but of what true health care is. Not sick care, right? There's a difference between sick care and health care, a chronic disease model and a wellness model. The US, best in the world at that emergency medicine situation. If you have a broken leg or arm, do not come to my office. Go to the ER. Do that, get that emergency medicine done. And then you're right, years of car wrecks and things like that, get x-rays. Let's make sure nothing's fractured, nothing crazy is going on. And then now let's get you on this pathway where we can get things to restabilize, get it to heal so you can be set up for long-term success. And we can go into the neurology behind that here in a little bit. But there is a huge, big pain management approach on that. But then one of the things that I always like to do, and it's a game I play with my patients, you can go to any practitioner's office, 0 symptoms, and just say, hey, make me healthier. It's like, okay, how can I do that? If the power's in the prescription pad, you have nothing wrong, your blood pressure's great, cholesterol's good, you're doing fine. No, you just keep doing what you've been doing at home. The cool thing about what we do in our office and the advancement of technology is we can run non-invasive, so no needles, no electricity, no radiation, scans over the nerve system to see where hidden stress and tension are building on you. Even if your labs come back normal, even if the algorithm or the blood pressure comes back normal, the cholesterol numbers are good, everything's good. When you judge and base your health solely on the way you feel, you're only using 7 to 10% of the information that needs to be available. And what I mean by that is this. In our central nerve system, so as a chiropractor, my job is to work with the central nerve system. A lot of folks think bone or back doc. Well, where's your central nerve system located? In
Throughout,
your spine.
yes.
In your
Right.
spine. So if your central nerve system are located in your left arm, chiropractors would be known as left arm doctors, not back doctors. So it really is about getting that nerve system to function appropriately. In your central nerve system, you only got 3 parts. We're going to break this down to make it real simple. You only have 3 parts. What you can feel or perceive is only 7 to 10% of the picture. That's your sensory nerves. And yes, pain, when that gets fired up, it will bring people in. And we do a phenomenal, in my opinion, job of doing everything we can to try to help people out and explain what's going on and why it's happening and then what it's going to take as well. But the cool thing is that 90% that's running in the background, like I said, you have 3 parts, 7 to 10% is pain. I don't have to really test that. I could, but I don't have to because you can tell me about that. But that means there's 90% in the background that's broken up into 2 parts. The nerves that control your organs and glands and blood vessels, digestion and hormones, thyroid function, prostate health, things like that. We actually run 2 tests to help us understand what's going on with that. And then the other part are the nerves that control the muscles. Those are called motor neurons. So motor, muscle, that's how you can remember that. And we do non-invasive tests to help us see how that's performing, not just feeling. Because again, you don't feel 90% of it until something is going way wrong. We want to, like you said, be a proactive people, not a reactive people. And hey, if you're stuck in that reactive phase of care, yeah, like you said, you're coming in late in the game, which means it's going to take a lot more to get your body to stabilize, recover, and then start to
Yep.
respond and perform better.
I can
Me
attest
too.
to that.
Yeah, me
I can
too. I get it.
attest to that. But
Yeah,
the interesting thing about the scans, because I do have those and you do those regularly with us as patients, and I like
yeah.
that. I get frustrated because along with being reactive by pain, I've also been conditioned to want fast fixes.
Oh, God,
Give me
yeah,
what's going to fix it. So here I am months into this. Of course, I'm actually 56 years into this, but I'm seeing this as months into seeing you, and I
yeah,
want to see more results than I'm seeing. But I know that I'm feeling better, and it's a
yeah,
retraining of everything about my conditioning to understand that this I didn't get this way overnight. I'm not going to get it totally cleared and well overnight, and to stick
yeah.
with it and be patient with my health and do all that I can. That's great training that you give us as we're coming to you.
Yeah. And every person responds different at different times. And there's just a lot that goes into everybody's response. And one of the cool things that we do is we take that three-directional approach, right? We do the neurological based approach with the scans and the adjustments to help retrain. And again, not just feel better, but to get the deeper neurological correction. So that way your nerve system is getting reprogrammed to get out of these 56-year-old ruts that you've been in. And we have to basically break all that down and rebuild it. But again, back doc, chiropractor's known for the back doctor because that's where your central nervous system is located, is in your spine. So we have to pay attention to the structure. The way I think of it is it's a glove and hand relationship between neurology and spinal structure. A lot of chiropractors, I know they call it your neurospinal organ, and not just your spine and your nerve system, but two as one, so to speak. If the structure is off, so what we do, and you may be able to see it in the background, is we have a digital posture analysis where we get to go to the 10th of a degree, to the 10th of an angle, to see how your posture is holding up. Are you sliding, shifting, bending? Is your body guarding and protecting? And we are about to get in-house x-ray. Spoiler alert for those that are listening. Hopefully in the next month or two, we'll get that in there so we can even improve our level of care. But structure and nerve function go hand in hand. So that's why we do all the pre-exercises, the at-home spinal rehab, and being compliant with that. And then the other thing that we do is metabolically. Leaky gut and gut health is starting to really come on the scene a lot. There's been, I'll just be frank with you, the medical community's just been poo-pooing it or just denying its existence for years, but it is really coming forward that leaky gut is creating this massive inflammatory effect on people. And what we're finding are those folks that are taking a lot longer to either heal or recover or get the results that they're looking for. There's a lot of gut health issues that are coming along the way with that too. And there's so many cool things that you can do that it seems like you have to be part of almost a secret society just to get the information, because there's just so much other information about the pills, the potions and the lotions and the surgeries and all that, just to even find somebody that's properly educated on how to do that and not just try to throw a certain program or something I have this other supplement that I use for that, but get a true progression and packaged approach to understanding how to heal, seal, and get the gut to function the way it's supposed to. Because as a chiropractor, yeah, my main focus is the central nervous system, and that's called the master control system. However, the gut, and I've only been getting into this for the last 2 or 3 years, but it's been really cool to see the results, is the functional nutrition part of things and healing the gut, because the gut is the mother of all systems. And if you're not paying attention to both of those, you can really be missing some key things that will allow your body to function the way it's supposed to.
Yes, so true. And that's kind of I came at this backwards. I had gotten into all of that, and you've met one of my practitioners for that, who I've had on the show before. If you want to look for the show with Renew Agrawal, I have
Yeah.
talked with her about nutritional health. So I've kind of come back around to seeing you, but I'm so glad that I have. And you run some wonderful slideshows in your office that also help educate. So everything about you has been educational, and that's fabulous for us to have.
Yeah.
You've touched on something briefly that I kind of want to circle back to, and that's
Sure.
the organ health. So you get people that probably want to take care of their back in some way because that's the way our culture's educated us. But
Yeah.
what other things do you see that are chronic in society that you say, man, I wish they understood that chiropractic would really help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So for me, it really is about the pediatric health, about kids, getting kids healthy. It's easier to get kids healthy than fix broken adults, obviously.
Yes.
One of the big things that pediatric chiropractic is, again, one of those things that's starting to come out and more people are starting to understand it, because there's a whole group of docs that I work with or have worked with in the past, and we have a passion for educating people. And one of the main guys, his name's Dr. Tony Ebel. He's out of Clear Lake, Illinois, outside of Chicago. And it's called the Perfect Storm Workshop. And what can end up happening is, you just, like you said, there's so much misinformation and there's so many directions that people can take with their approach. Everything from the SAD diet, right? Standard American diet and things like that. But when it comes to kids, there's this multifocal things that are going on. And then there's this big obvious thing that's being missed. And that's the kids, their central nerve system, whether that's kids that, I'm just going to be honest with you, on the spectrum, have allergies, sinuses, all these other cruds, all these other things going on. And yes, supplementation is a massive thing. Proper nutrition is a massive thing. But if you're not analyzing and taking care of that central nerve system of that baby or that kiddo, there's just such a big opportunity that's being missed to get their nerve system just to relax, to get their nerve system to communicate, to allow what's called that raging bull complex, bull in the china closet type of situation. And kids are going to be kids, right? And we have to allow them freedom to do that. And I'm learning that firsthand. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, or there we go, 3 and a 1. And man, those boys, they are full of love, and that love and energy drives them. And our house just can be crazy sometimes, and I love it. But you got to remember, kids need to be kids. But what we do with them is we educate them on what to put in their bodies, what not to put in their bodies or allowed to be put in their bodies, and then just how the health is supposed to function, above, down, inside to out. Get that nerve system functioning the way it's supposed to, and for some kiddos, it can take a few months to break these habits, even though it's been a few years. But these neurological habits that can happen from birth or even the birthing process can drive this imbalance in that what's called the sympathetic response of the nerve system, that fight or flight response, and cause their brain and their nerve system to stay locked in that fight or flight response. And therefore, that's going to affect the prefrontal cortex, frontal lobe, everything from focus, memory, cognition, all that stuff. And for me, it's the kids. Being able to educate parents, being able to help them out, and to get these babies, to get these kiddos off stinking Adderall, off these other things, just as kids, babies, and get them to function the way they're supposed to. And then you get healthy kids, and you're going to get healthy adults, and healthy adults are a healthy society. And I think all of us these days can do a lot better with a healthier society, right?
I totally agree. And I have friends that have these children that face these things, and it's hard for the whole family because there's a lot of love, but there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of
Mhm.
drugs, there's a lot of that kind of thing. So I love that you touched on that, and it's so powerful. I wish I had started this path a long time ago. And what I've learned from my own scans that you're kind of speaking about, you get a printout that's on a grid, and like when I first started coming to you, I was in the exhausted part. Like I wasn't even fighting it anymore. My whole body was worn down. And this happens to us at all ages, from fighting pain, from fighting stress. We can go into just downright exhaustion. And I can't believe how good I feel every time I'm adjusted, every time I come in there and doing more exercises at home on my own, and you working with me. Well, here's how you do this. It is an educational process. And I would say, if you're not in Montgomery, Texas, and you can't see Dr. Jeremy, make sure that who you are seeing is giving you some of that information that you need so you can manage your own health. Everything in your
Absolutely.
office says basically, once you're aligned and once you're giving the body what it needs, it thrives at healing itself. So
Yes.
you advertise, I'm not healing anybody, I'm helping you heal yourself.
That's right. Our bodies were created and designed to be self-healing organisms, right? Our body's always trying to go to what's called homeostasis, right? But
Hmm.
if we start putting all this junk in our way, whether again toxic, you know, physical, chemical, and emotional, those are the big stress. And then you also have some other types of stress that can come in with the new 5G and all that. We won't get into too much of that right now, but it exists and it's real. But um, whenever we get under duress, our brain and our nerve system, it doesn't distinguish between a physical trauma or emotional trauma. It just knows it's under duress, it's under trauma, and it's having to get in that fight or flight response. And whenever you stay that way for so long, those energy reserves will drain out and you hit that state of fatigue and exhaustion. And so there's a lot that goes in with that, just like you said. Yeah.
I've watched you do all kinds of adjustments for all kinds of patients. You work with all shapes and sizes, no matter the trauma. I actually was able to witness you doing a little bit of an adjustment with somebody the other day that couldn't even really be adjusted because the trauma was more severe. Like it was a very subtle adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the kinds of things that you're able to help people with? I see equipment in there I haven't even worked with yet. So, who do you really target in addition to children? What kinds of situations would you say you're really well equipped to help?
So one of the cool things is, and it's kind of a dichotomy, right? Like you said, I have a passion for family and pediatric care, for wellness care. Those, I'll be honest, those are my favorite patients. They're fun. You get the kiddos to come in here. It's a lot of fun. And then the other side of the coin is I am board certified in chronic and intractable pain and peripheral neuropathy from the American College of Physical Medicine. You almost can't get two more polar opposites. Now, a personal story of mine is not what got me into chiropractic, like you asked in the beginning, but what got me into this side of things is I have a cousin, second cousin of mine, and he's older, a little older. He's my dad's cousin, so he's older than me. But the guy grew up high school athletics, super smart guy, just the kind of guy you always want to be around or the kind of guy you want on your team. And I didn't meet him until I was almost in high school because I was up from the Lubbock area, Panhandle, and I have family in Kansas. And so I would typically be in that part of the state in the country. And he's from the South Texas side. We would go down there, but very limited time. And long story short, got to meet him, owned his own company in San Antonio, just a great guy. Loved meeting him. I was like, man, this is a really cool guy. I'm surprised I haven't been around this type of family in a while. But life happens and we all get busy. So anyways, we keep touch here and there on social media. And then it'd been a few years. Obviously, I met him in high school, then went to undergrad and chiropractic school. And so just here, touch points here and there. And then all of a sudden, I see something on Facebook where he's standing up with a prosthetic leg. I was like, oh, whoa, what happened? And then he shows another picture where bilateral amputee below the knee. I was like, oh my gosh. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, what happened? What's going on? He wasn't grossly overweight, but ended up having diabetic neuropathy, and got a wound in his foot. And the wound kept festering, couldn't heal, because right before that, he ended up having to have a kidney transplant. So he's on anti-rejection medication, right, for a new kidney. So therefore, they can't really give him anything for the wound in the foot. It festers, it gets worse, gets gangrenous, below the knee amputation. And I mean, the guy's like 50 and probably might be close to 200 pounds, but nothing over 25% body fat, like fit, worked out at the gym. And that's the picture he actually showed, was him at the gym with his prosthetic legs on. And I was like, what happened? And so he said, and then the same thing happened to the other foot that got a wound in it. It was just a little cut, but never healed because he's on the anti-rejection medications and got worse and worse and worse, and then gangrenous. And so bilateral amputee, and I think in less than a year's time below the knee. Wow. And I said, hey, so why didn't you call me? He said, I didn't know you could help me.
My goodness.
Yeah. So that was for me. I was like, okay, I got to do something. And so I found a really cool company that helps out with that. They're called Blueprint to Practice Automation. They helped educate us or me and my team on how to help folks with neuropathy, whether it's the upper or lower extremity. And then I got involved with the American College of Physical Medicine and got board certified in neuropathy. And so, yeah, you get to see the whole slew of patients in my office. It's really interesting that you get to see these kids run in happy, healthy, getting adjusted. And the next patient, I think the one you're talking about, was she in a walker maybe or something?
It was actually a gentleman, and I think he'd had some kind of an accident, and he couldn't really turn his head, move his head, do a lot of things. And yeah, you did the gentlest of work with him, but he seemed to feel better afterwards.
Yeah. And so but you said passion to help with things is those neuropathy patients, man. They come in and they're talking about being run through the gambit. It's a chronic disease that's progressed because of a lot of times lifestyle habits or issues. They were never given the proper training or education on how to minimize it, prevent it, or reverse it. And so we do a lot of work with that. That's why we got the new electro-regenerative technology in and everything else that we're doing. So it's really cool because I don't know what my day is going to look like from hour to hour. I can have a new patient come in here with a mom with kids and gut health issues, to somebody, like you said, that got in an accident to where they can't move. And You just have to be ready.
And veterans, you see veterans, which I imagine they've got their own list of things that they've been through from training or.
Big time. Let's talk about that for a second. So, have you ever heard of the Patriot Project?
Yes.
Yes, patriotproject.org. It's patriot-project.org. So chiropractic is not a MOS, official MOS for the military. There's contractors and stuff that work on base. However, there's a grassroots campaign started by chiropractors, and anybody go to that website and you can search anybody that's registered with them. You can find out where you are all across the globe, I think, but for sure America. And for all active military, think, believe, and Gold Star members, them and their immediate family member, chiropractors will give them care, chiropractic care at no charge.
Wow.
And yes, veterans, that's a big deal. So some of the educational seminars we run, that's why we run those veteran clips about the bag full of pills and everything else. And it is a microcosm what is happening in our society is just throw a pill at it, go out, but go back out and perform. Throw a pill at it, go, throw a potion at it, throw surgery at it, oh, we got to remove this. You weren't born with a lack of aspirin. You weren't born with a lack of Tylenol or a lack of Nexium, You were born to heal, function, and operate the way God designed us to. The problem is our life and our lifestyles put so much interference in it that we get overwhelmed and won't perform and function the way we should. And especially for the military, have a huge heart for helping them out. And so I have a few service members that we give them and their family care for free.
That's so wonderful. I'm glad I touched on that. Something guided me to bring up the veterans because one of your
Yeah,
patients is one of my favorite people and he's a veteran. So it's kind of fun who I run into there as well. It kind of becomes a community that we all see each other while we're taking care of ourselves. I love that.
that's why we have the office designed the way we do that semi-open concept. So I wanted it to be a community where people can hang out and talk and relax. I don't want to be, as soon as you come in, there's a big window and the grumpy lady behind the slide, No, we want to have fun. If I'm going to be here, I call this my sandbox. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to enjoy it. I call people brother, ma'am, sister. I'm not going to wear a coat and tie and a white coat, and we're
Yeah.
here to have fun.
And it shows. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your new machine, I enjoyed my session on it. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to bring that into your practice and what you hope to accomplish with it.
Okay, good call. So the technology we have is called electro-regenerative therapy. I highly doubt anybody's ever heard of it. That's because we are only the second practice in Texas to have it as of, well, last that I know. I don't know if any more people have gotten on that. However, it is in the same field as what's called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, PEMF. A lot of people know about PEMF, and that's good because it is phenomenal to help stimulate your body's healing capacity. Simple way to put it is all of our cells run on certain frequency, just like batteries in your cell phone. And the more you use it without restoring it, then it's going to drain out. And if you're not getting proper nutrition, proper sleep, and if you have stress or tension on your nerve system or on your spine, those are key things that will drain your body's reserves. What this does is it's like charging your cell phone, like plugging it in. I think there's a Hertz had a commercial with Tom Brady where he was sitting there and he kind of had the chest to plug in. Think of it as that, like you plug in and get recharged, and then the commercial, like, yeah, see you next week type of thing. But it upcycles your body's ability to recover and heal. There's a whole science behind it. You can just Google it. There's a book called The Fifth Element that talks about PEMF. But what that does, what the ERT is, the electro-regenerative therapy, it's based off a Tesla patent. And this is what I call the next iteration of PEMF. There are a lot of different PEMF units out there. There's even home units, and there's different intensities and frequencies. But as technology gets better, think of our cell phone technology. It used to be a big bag that you had. Then you had the big Zach Morris phone. And then we have these handheld computers now. Well, this unit is the next handheld computer, but for PEMF. It's in that smaller travel case. It's not a big, massive unit that you have to come to it. I can actually take it to you in the practice and wheel it around. And we can do whatever for the neuropathy. We want to hit the nerve roots, especially if it's upper extremity neuropathy, hit the nerve roots at the base of the neck, upper back. If it's at lower extremity neuropathy, get the low back. And it's like trying to fix a plant that's been sick. You don't go from the leaves in, you go from the roots up, right?
Right.
And that's the same concept as above, down, inside out. We go from the roots out. And if we can get those to heal, if you can get the cells to heal, then you can get the tissues to heal, then you can get the organs to heal, then you get the body to heal. And so that's what we're hoping to do with that, is create a massive impact to get people that have chronic issues that want faster healing to be able to heal faster with the use of a simple, non-invasive technology.
So for someone like me that's a recurring patient, what would you say would be recommend? I mean, what is the research saying is recommended? Like to do it once a week, once a month? How often, for how long? It's kind of hard for me to figure out what to do with that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And we're getting our handles on it because there's no written protocols yet because it is so new. And so what we've done in the research that I've read, and it's with similar type units that are a little bit older, so they're not quite as powerful. But honestly, what we're finding is about 10 to 15 sessions. And it depends on what phase you're in. And it depends on what your desired results or outcomes need to be. If you're in the acute phase, where, like you said, a guy that can barely move or things like that, then it needs to be several times a week because there's so much damage and there's so much that needs to be helped on, and we got to get things moving fast and now. If you're more of a wellness patient that you just want to do management on things and just want overall health and wellness and vitality, what we're seeing is a really cool cycle of weekly visits. And then remember, health is not linear, right? We're going to have our good days and our bad days. And I think of it like a stock ticker. We just need to make sure that the trend is in the right direction. And heck, sometimes you'll have those bull markets where it just craps out on you. But if you're having a flare up or a re-exacerbation or something like that, then you can do multiple times during the week. And, if we have somebody that's just time constricted, we can even do it in the morning and then later in the afternoon. And the cool thing about the technology that we use in the practice is it allows your body to absorb. We're not forcing anything into the body, but allowing your metabolic capacities to be met through the body absorbing the frequency, not driving the frequency into the cells, which also means your recovery time is better too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hope our listeners have figured out by now why I come see you regularly. You're a wealth of information, and I really appreciate the time you've taken with us today. I like to wrap things up by asking my guests if they're, given everything we've talked about or maybe haven't managed to touch on, is there a parting thought you'd like to leave us with today?
Well, your body's designed to be healthy. There are all kinds of health challenges out there. Be patient with your body, trust in the process, do your own work, and follow your gut. The gut, it's the enteric nerve system, it's the second brain. If you feel like something's just not right or there's a better way, there's actually a film you can go to called A Better Way. My friend Dr. Tabor Smith out of Cypress, Texas developed that. It's about his mom and chiropractic, and it's really cool. He ended up losing his mom at an early age. She was on like 20 different medications and horrible stuff. And then, of course, that spurs him on to be a chiropractor. Amazing guy, Pure Life Family Wellness down in Cyprus. Him and his wife, Gina, are amazing. They got 3 little boys. They have an amazing story. If you want anybody on the show, you should have him on. But but A Better Way is the name of the film, the documentary that they did. But if you feel like there's a better way, that whenever you get told there's nothing else we can do, they are telling the truth. There's nothing else they can do. And it's not a wrong or versus or anything like that. We all care, all doctors, in my opinion, well, the majority of us care truly about our patients. The limiting aspect that can happen a lot of times is our training. Our training allows us to have this type of a scope sometimes, where if we're having to view you through our toolbox, and this is the only toolbox we have, there's nothing else we can do, or they can just give some random advice, which gives random results. Explore other things. And I hate the term CAM, complementary alternative medicine. It's not an alternative. It is another way, a full-on way. Like I said, if you break your arm, once it's stable, because now with the ERT, we can help with fracture healing. But once it's stable, once you're good, and then if we get casted up or something like that, then we can help you with fractures. But like I said, if you break something or if you have a huge medical emergency, don't come to me. My training is not for that. Go to the people that need to be trained for that. But when it starts coming to these chronic things and just wanting to have a more fulfilled, holistic, helpful life, our doors are open to you for sure. And trust your gut and use your brain. Think about what other things can be done. And even if you know or don't know or not aware, start your journey of exploration. Be bold enough to ask questions to different doctors, 2 different practitioners, 2 different people. And you may have to stand alone on it or go against what general convention tells you. So be bold, be strong, and don't compromise when you know there's more that's out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Jeremy. And thank you for joining us. Let us know what you thought. We love your feedback at journeyofpossibilities.com. And we will see you next time on Exploring Possibilities.